Hello YouTube and hello viewers and welcome back to yet another episode of creating our huge online community project. My name's Wayne and I've been taking you for these amazing episodes so far. In today's session there's going to be quite a lot of information today, so I hope you can all grasp it. Not too much information because I'm going to supply you with some stuff, but we are going to be looking at adding the Steam API into our project. Now I am going to say this is not recommended. If you're not going to be using Greenlight, you do not need to use this method. But if you are thinking about going the Steam route, this is something you really want to listen to. So this basically works for both anyways. So if you don't want to use Steam, or if you do, just don't put the Steam stuff into what I'm going to show you. And you can continue with the project. There will be no difference at all. But for those people that do want to integrate Steam, then maybe this is a good thing to listen to. On top of that, because it's nice and quick to put in, because I've already pre-done the code, and a great thanks to Unreal Tech, I think they called. I'll find their channel in a minute. I'll link everything into the description. Basically, they've already pre-done the code, so I've just stole it from them. I have asked permission. He said it's fine to use it, so I can share it with you guys. And on top of that, basically, we're just going to look at then creating our final widgets, which is going to be our server browser, and another widget that's going to attach to that, which is going to show, well, pretty much a button that we'll be able to click on and access all of our servers that we have running. Okay. So without further ado, let's get started. So where we left off last time is we finished this main menu widget where we were grabbing information from the user from the database. So the email, username, kills, and wins. And we didn't do anything with these buttons because we're not going to do anything just yet with the buttons. We might do in this session, but for now, we're not going to do much with this menu. But the very first thing I want you to do in this session is we need to get hold of our default game engine files. Now, to get hold of that, you quite simply go into your library, right-click on your project and say Show in Folder, okay? And basically, you get all the folders that are allocated inside your project. I need you to head over to Config, and you should have this thing called Default Engine, all right? You need to right-click on that, and we're going to go Edit with Notepad++, or whatever program you're using to edit these files. Now, basically, this is just some information that you can set in Unreal if you wanted to, but obviously we can't put the Steam stuff in, so we're going to have to manually put that in ourselves. So you can see our instances there, server game mode, and all sorts of weird things all here. We're not going to touch any of them, but we're going to add some code down below. So I have already, as I say, taken the code off Blendtex's video, and I have got it in the notepad. I will put in the description below, so all you have to do is just copy it all and paste it, but I will explain it all to you. So let's just head over back to our default engine file. And you've got to make sure there's a space. So just hit the enter and then paste the code and make sure there is a space. Otherwise, this will not work. So you've got to make sure that there is an empty space between each one of them. Otherwise, it's definitely not going to work. So basically, this is attaching ourselves to Steam. So all this bit of information here. But the main information section is all here. So basically, this online subsystem is going to say, okay, well, the default platform is going to be Steam. Now, obviously, I said to you in the beginning of this video, if you are not wanting to use Steam, then do not use any of this. But if you are using Steam, then this is very important to have. The next one is basically, are we going to be able to use LANs? And then we've got this thing called SteamDevAppId, which is 480. This is a default ID number that Steam's given to developers. And I'll explain to you what that all is in a second, so it all makes sense later on. So once you've got all that in, very simple, just save that file. So just going to file and save. So make sure that's all in. And I'm going to have to reset my project. So I'm just going to make sure everything's saved. So just save everything and then exit. And then I'm just going to reopen up my project. So open up my project again. So my community project. Shouldn't take too long. Should be nice and quick. There we go. Okay, so to see if this is working, what we've been previously using was this new editor window. You can't use this anymore, so you've got to stay away from this one. We have to use a standalone game for this to work, so please make sure you do use the standalone game. It won't work on any of these, so make sure you use standalone game. So let's test it. Let's click on it. And what should happen is that we should get the Steam stuff that normally pops up when you open up a game or any game that's allocated to Steam. As you can see, it says access the Steam community, hold Shift and Tab. And we've got the Steam interface that you would normally have. Now you'll notice it's called Space War. That's because that's the default ID number, which is 480. And basically this is the name of the game. So your friends will probably see that you've been doing a lot of gaming on Space War, but technically you're doing game dev. So obviously your friends, I've switched mine off so don't keep popping up all the time, but you'll see all your friends there. Achievements, I'll show you how to add achievements in, so you can add achievements into your game and things like that if you want to. But yeah, that's pretty much setting up the Steam API to work. Nothing too difficult or too strenuous, I hope. I'm just going to log in just to make sure everything is still working, that nothing's broken. But yeah, that's pretty much setting that all up. It's as easy as that. Obviously, we're going to go more into detail with blueprints, but not in today's session. That will be for your next session. Okay, so what we need to do now is we're going to make a few widgets that we're going to need for when we start doing our blueprints. Now, we've already got a widget, which is our main menu, which is going to navigate between stuff. But what we need now is we need our ServerList, because don't forget, in our main menu, so let's just drag that in there, we've got this online servers. So when we click this button, it's going to give us a list of servers that we have. So these could be dedicated servers, or they could be what people are just hosting currently. So I'm going to show you how to show all that information and etc. So we'll get that all sorted. So what we need to do is, on our widgets, so make sure we go into our blueprints and widgets, we're going to create a new widget. So user interface and a widget blueprint. I'm going to call this w_serverList. That's obviously for our list of servers. And just double click on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some stuff into here. Okay, now I did say that I don't really like using design, but in this aspect we have to, otherwise it's going to look really messy. So the very first thing we're going to need is a vertical box. Right, so a vertical box, just drag that into your canvas panel. The next thing we need is a title, or sorry, just text actually, text. So we're going to use text to drag that into the vertical box. Right, let's drag it into the vertical box. Next we need is a spacer, because we need some space between it. So again, drag that into the vertical box. Right, so that's pretty much just the top section that's going to have a title, probably named servers, and then we'll work with the rest. The next thing we need after that is going to be a horizontal box. So we're going to need a horizontal box. Horizontal box, and drag that onto your canvas panel. Okay, next thing we're going to need is some text. We'll sort this all out. That's why I'm going to give the majority of this session, so it'll make sense. So we need some text. We need a spacer. So we need a spacer. And then we can just pretty much copy this and paste into the horizontal box. Okay, and then we just need another one, just another piece of text just underneath it. Text. Okay, right, so we've got the vertical box, and then we've got the horizontal box, which has got 3 text boxes and 2 spaces. And I'll show you exactly what they all are in a minute, so don't panic about that. Next we need is a vertical box. So really I'm just laying out what this is going to look like. So we're going to need a vertical box. So you drag that onto your canvas panel. Okay. And basically, this is going to be where all the search results are going to come from. Okay, so you're going to be able to see all the servers in this section. So text box, we're going to need one of them. And what we also need is we're going to need to have a scroll box. So scroll box. I'm just going to drag that into that section. Okay, so we need one of them. The next one we need now is we're going to need to get a horizontal box. So a horizontal box. I'm just going to put that into the canvas panel. Okay, so that's going to go there. And then we need some buttons. Buttons. All right, so as you can imagine, this horizontal box is going to be for things like join server, or sorry, not join server, things like refresh the server list or go back. So that's pretty straightforward. So we can get some text there. And we'll put a text onto there. And we just need a spacer between them, between the buttons. Place that there, and we can just copy those two. Copy and paste. And that's pretty much the layout of what we're going to have. Now, this is very basic. Obviously, you guys will go a little bit more crazy into this, but now we just need to lay it out. Okay. So first things first, let's look at the vertical box. All right. So let's go right to the top. Let's click on the vertical box. So this is pretty much going to be the container of everything, I suppose. So we're going to anchor that to the center. All right. So we need to anchor that to the center. Position 0, because it's going to be in the center. 1024, sorry, that's 0. Size X is going to be 1024. All right, so just in lengthwise, so we can fit it lengthwise that way. Size Y is going to be 800. So you can see we're making a nice little section to hold it in. Alignment is going to be 0.5 and 0.5 on the Y. So you can see that's nice and center now of how we want it to look. Okay. The text block, so the next one underneath, so the text bit, let's just give this a name. So we're going to call this title, right? And we can give it a name here, so text, so we could have servers as the name. Okay. And basically we want to make sure that's on auto, make sure it's aligned to fill horizontally and also vertically. And that's pretty much that for that one. And the spacer, so the spacer needs to be, let me think now. So we're going to have 1 on the X, and Y we will have as 32, just to give it a bit of space. You can change your values of how you like, but that value seems to be okay. Okay. The next one, so this horizontal box, so basically that's going to be the title bar. So that's where you're going to be able to see things like the server name, the players, and ping, and things like that. So that's what we'll be looking at next. So this has to be, so the title bar needs to be on horizontal box. Why am I not getting anything that I need over here? It's a bit strange. Horizontal box. There's a horizontal box. Why can't I change the size to just to fit anymore? Definitely not that one. All right, let's just centerize that. No, because really it should just. Why is that not? Oh, derp. That's because all this stuff is not in the vertical box. Oh man. Okay, let's do some fixing. So all this was part of. Sorry. So we had the title bar, and then we had text all the way down to next. So all of them is part of that. And then we had our vertical box. Then we had these two in the vertical box. And then we had the horizontal box, which had all our buttons and stuff in. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I forgot. I was throwing in the canvas panel when I shouldn't have. It should all gone into this section. Okay, so title bar. We want to make sure that the size is on auto. Everything's aligned as it should be here and here. And that's pretty much all we need to do for that. As you can see, it just says text block, text block, text block. We're going to sort that in a second, so don't worry about that. So what we want to do next is our first text block here. We want to have that as, let's give it a name for now. So we just say name of server will do for now. Okay, we want that to be auto, and again, you want to fit that all in, and you want to justify that to the left. I'm missing a spacer here. That's why it looks a bit weird. Copy, paste. Oh no, just delete it. And why can't I paste? Paste. Let's just move that underneath there. Okay, so name a server. Then we've got our spacer. Right, so our spacer. Now that space is going to push all this information in this direction. So let's just put 512 value in there, so you can see it pushes the information across. I think that's a bit too heavy, so let's just change that a bit more. Actually, let's just leave that for now. So we'll just leave that as 512, and then leave that as one value. The next one we're going to do is on this text block, we're going to call this players. So players, so we can see how many players on the server. And again, we're going to look at the spacer on that one. And that spacer is going to be 128 in length. So I'm trying to just do a little bit of mathematical equation to make sure this all fits in correctly. So actually, let's just change that. Just call that name just so it fits, just so my maths doesn't go all crazy. So obviously that's going to be players. We could name that if we wanted to, but not really too bothered just yet. And then obviously the last one, so we didn't need that spacer. So this one, we're going to just call that ping. Right, so we can see obviously the players and the ping amount that we have on the server. So we're just pretty much setting up the menu. Remember, I'm not very good at this, so please bear with me in this episode. I'm not very good at the whole design thing. All right, the next one. So this one, the vertical box, let's give this a name. So this one's going to be called our results. So this is going to be all the results that we're going to get. So we could call this S results for search results, I suppose. Okay, and that's going to be fill. So we want that to fill all this, the rest of the section that we've got, because obviously we want that all to fit in. Okay, make sure everything's adjusted here. So make sure by default it's there anyway, so you don't need to worry about that too much. Okay. Then we've got this text block. All right, so we can actually just call this status of server. Actually, we don't need that because we could do. So we could have this as if any of the servers are offline, we could just say offline for maintenance or something, and we'll pull that from the database. Remember, we're going to make a table for all the servers and stuff. So we could say if any of them are offline, or if all of them are offline for maintenance, then we can just put a message on here. Okay, and then the next one is our scroll box. Now the scroll box we want to fill because obviously we want the scroll box to have everything in there. Okay, and just make sure that it's again horizontally and vertically aligned to fill. Okay, so make sure that's all there. And then what we need after that is then we're just going to fix this horizontal box down at the bottom. Okay, so this is just going to hold our buttons that we need down here. And basically this button, well, text is not in there. Let's make sure the text goes into buttons. So this first text block we're going to have as, I don't know, refresh servers. Refresh. Okay, so refresh the servers. And this text block we could have as just main menu. So we go back to the main menu screen. Spacer wise, we could put a value of, I don't know, 512. Let's go a little bit more. Maybe we could actually drag, I think. Yeah, we could drag that across. So 721 seems okay. Oh, no, that's definitely not 721. 721, that's okay. So that fits. Obviously, you'll give it a little bit more attention to detail to make sure that all fits. So that's pretty much what we need to have for the server list. We're not going to do any code in it just yet, but you can see what it is going to look like in regards to all the servers are going to populate in this section here. This will be invisible, so this really won't have anything in it because we'll pull that from the database. But apart from that, everything else will show in this scroll box, and depending on what users are in or not. However, what we also need to do is we need to set up another widget now that makes this section, so you can see the name, players, and ping, show below, but it needs to have a button attached to them, but still show us the information that we had for each one of those aspects. We need to create another widget for us. So we need to create a new widget, and that widget's going to be a user interface and a widget blueprint. And basically, this widget's going to give us our row count. So we can call that widget S row. So we're going to be able to get our rows from our server. And this is very easy to put together. Basically, we're going to delete this canvas panel because we don't need it. But we're just going to start putting some stuff in the hierarchy. We're going to need a size box to start off with. And the size box is quite nice because we can manipulate it how we like. So we're going to put one of them in. We're going to need a button. So basically, it'll be clickable. So we need to make sure that's there. Don't worry about the size of it. That's perfect. It doesn't really matter how big it is, to be honest. And then we need a canvas panel underneath the button. So we need a canvas panel underneath that. And then just 3 text boxes. So text, not text box, sorry, text, and text. Okay. So the size box, we're going to adjust how we like it. So we can actually override how the size of the actual object is. So this is going to be 1024 because that's the width of our project. Then obviously we've got the height, which is 32, and then it's just the same thing over and over again. So 1024, 32, 1024, and 32. Okay, so basically just making the size of this to be the same size as from this corner to this corner. Okay, the button itself is pretty straightforward. We just need to make sure that it's aligned as it is. So you need to make sure that's all aligned as it should be. Apart from that, that's all we need to know about. The canvas panel, again, we don't really change anything in this, just I need to make sure that that it's going to be aligned to fill. So make sure these are filled. If not, like mine wasn't, sometimes it does automatically do that. If not, make sure that it does fill horizontally and vertically. So you can see the text is now gone to the top left corner. So make sure that is done. All right. And what we need to do is we need to add our text blocks. Okay, so this first one's going to be called server name. All right, so just call that server. Now, obviously, it's not going to have server name because that's going to have, obviously, the name of the server. So don't really worry about that too much. So server name. And we need to position this in the right location. So the anchor is okay. Just make sure it's top left. Or we need to just change some properties. So we're going to have 652. Right, so 652 in width. So if you remember correctly, we had it here of if we add that and add that, it will give us that value of 652. And we're going to have it as 30, 0, 0, and 0. The next text block we need is going to be the ping section. So we can just, oh no, let's just put a dash in there for now. So that will be the ping. Okay. And we need to position that. So we're going to position it 900 across. All right. So again, just mathematically, you just got to try and work it out in your head how far across it's going, especially if you made it bigger, then obviously that makes more sense that you need to make sure everything's right. So you can see that's now positioned in the right location. Right. So I just put 82 and 30 in that figure. And then the next one here, so this next text block here is going to be the player count. So we could say, I don't know, let's say 0 out of 32 players, just for an example. Obviously, these will change in value, so don't need to worry about that. And we need to position this in the right location, so we're going to say 900 across. Okay, it's 900 across. Actually, no, it won't be 900. Silly me, wrong mathematics. 512 for this one, because it's over here. And just going to give it size of 107, just for in case we have more people playing than 30 of value. And that's pretty much setting that up. So these will be automatically populated with information once we start setting up all the blueprints and things like that we need to do. And that's pretty much it. So we set up the server list to get that up and running. Apologies for the little mistakes that I made. It was silly me. I forgot that I was meant to put it inside the vertical box, not in the canvas panel. That's why it was going a bit strange. And then obviously our server information. So we're going to populate this. So this button is going to go into here, and it's going to fill in all the information down here of servers that people will be able to click on. Hence why we needed a button behind there. Okay, so a very weird session today. Apologies for the quality of it if it hasn't been to standard of my other videos. Remember, I'm not very good with the whole design aspect, so I need to think again when doing it. So hopefully you bear with it and get that done. In our next episode, we're going to look at coding this up now to get it working with the multiplayer. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, remember to like the video. If you really like my channel, hit that subscribe button. And if you really want to support the channel, you can always drop a donation. Again, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.